શું કરતો હતો YouTube માં ચાલુ કરી દીધું પણ હવે આને હટાવું કે અહીંયાથી दरवाजा बंद कर। अरिहंत सिद्ध सुर उपाध्याय साधु सर्व अर्थ के प्रकाशी मांगलिक उपकारी है। तिनको स्वरूप जानी रागते भई जो भक्ति काय को नमाय स्तुति को उच्चारी है। धन्य धन्य तुम्ही से काज सब आज भयो कर चोरी बारंबार वंदना हमारी है। मंगल कल्याण सुख ऐसो हम चाहते ओ मेरी ऐसी दशा जैसी तुम धारी है। ओ मेरी ऐसी दशा जैसी तुम धारी है। Okay, so we'll continue with 11 Pratimas chapter. We left at the, I think, 7th, up to 7th. We have done up to 7th. So we'll be doing it from 8th one, Arambha Tyag Pratima. Before we start, one minute. Make you a co-host.
Jai Jinendra.
Jai Jinendra. So now I have made you a co-host, Aditi ji. You can share the soft copy. So yesterday we studied about 11 Pratimas, and the main theme of that chapter was that there is one pure manifestation, and along with that pure manifestation there is auspicious sentiment, and because of that there is mind, body and speech activity. Three things going on simultaneously. The first one, the purity that has been manifested, is the real pratima from the real point of view, and the other two, the auspicious sentiment and the corresponding mind, body and speech activity, these both are called conventional pratima or pratima from the conventional point of view. So in every pratima we will see one is Nischay pratima and the other one is Vyavhar pratima. So up to 1 to 7 we had already completed yesterday, and in this pratima the unique thing is that when you move on to the next level of pratima, the first one, the purity of the first one is maintained and it also continues. So when we are entering the 8th pratima, all the previous 7 we are still following it, maintaining it. So Arambha Tyag Pratima. Arambha Tyag Pratima means renunciation of sinful activities. Arambha means any activity through mind, body, and speech, which is a kind of sinful activity. Okay, and that is called Arambha. So the householder who has entered the 8th stage, he renounces this Arambha. The natural purity of this stage is the real Pratima, or the Pratima from the real point of view. While indifference words, page number 35, while indifference words, while indifference towards this world, body, and the pleasures of the senses that come by way of lessening of the fury of attachments and the abandoning of external indulgence in householders' affairs is the conventional following thereof. So one is the real Pratima and the other one is conventional Pratima. More devoted to the pursuit of the soul, he abandons all trade and commerce and other sinful occupations, example, doing written work, fighting, agriculture, and trade of all kinds. So he renounces all these sinful activities, and even if someone else is doing, he does not applaud it also. So this was the 8th Pratima. Now moving on to the next, Parigrah Tyag Pratima, renunciation of possessions. The real growth of this stage lies in the consequent purity of the soul and the abandoning of all 10 kinds of possession. These are external possessions. Okay, 10 kinds of external possessions. Dhan, Dhanya, then Sona Chandi, then Bartan Kapda, Das Dasi, and the pet animals that we keep. All these are external possessions. And there are 14 internal possessions. And among the 14, the first one is delusion. And then all the passions are there. So, this householder who has entered the 9th stage, he abandons all 10 kinds of possessions, retaining a few necessary articles only. So he retains only a few necessary articles which are required by him to live a normal householder's life. And this is called conventional Pratima. The abandoning of the all 10 kinds of possessions, external possessions, is conventional Pratima. The holder of this Pratima is full of detachments, vairagyamay, satisfaction, and equilibrium, and other auspicious attributes. So detachments is vairagyamay, satisfaction is santushti, and equilibrium is samya bhavdhari. And other auspicious attributes means other kind of shubh bhav. So this was all about renunciation of possessions. Now we move on to the 10th stage, Anumati Tyag Pratima. The purity of demeanor has again developed to a very great extent in the 10th stage, and which is real following of the same. So this is Anumati Tyag Pratima. Anumati Tyag Pratima means abstinence from giving advice, consent for worldly matters. So even if someone comes to him to take advice, just because he has entered this Pratima, 10th Pratima, then he stops giving those advice, which is real following of the same, while withholding assent in the matter of marriage, trade, and other household entanglements of his own family and friends is the conventional observance. This householder is held in great esteem. He is called as Uttam Shravak. The next and the last one is Uddishta Tyag Pratima. This is also very important. Non-consumption of food made for him. So even our monks does not consume any food if it is made for them. Okay. So many people ask that how do we identify whether this monk is a real monk or not. So this is a very good way of identifying. You have to check whether he takes food randomly at anybody's house without any pre-planning, or he is taking food with proper planning and selecting the Sravaks. Okay, so from this you can make out whether he is a true Bhavlingi monk or not. So this is one which we can always check, and from there we can come to know whether he is a true saint, true monk or not. So the monks does not have food made for them. Similarly, the 11th stage of a householder, he also does not consume food made for them. This is the last stage of the householder's development on the path of the spirit. Such a householder is of two kinds, Chulak and Elak. The last one being the higher stage. So Elak is the most senior most, and then comes the Chulak. After which the householder accepts monkhood. So these are the last stages in the guise of a householder, and then the next stage is they accept monkhood, they get initiated into monkhood, and they carry forward their meditation over there. The spirit of detachment here means vitrakta. The spirit of vitrakta here is greater than in previous stages, and the state of detachment, nirvikalp, comes off and on and last for a longer period. So now his frequency of practicing descriptive knowledge has increased, and he can now last for a longer period in the meditative state. This internal purity and behavior are the real observance, while the external merit and softness of passions are the conventional, following which induce the follower to abandon food prepared for his sake. So the passions have become so mild that he follows this discipline of not taking food which has been prepared specially for him. The follower here develops greater indifference towards the world and the physical aspects of life. Can you take it a little bit upper? Yeah. The follower here develops greater indifference towards the world and the physical aspects of life. The householder, just like a monk, at this stage abjures food prepared for his sake and does so with all his mind, body, and speech, and does not encourage anyone else also to do so for his sake. He moves freely, leaving his home and family connections. So now he is poised to become a monk. So he leaves his house also, and he also go from place to place, just like monks, and they don't come back to their home again. And this kind of householder, they don't take food which has been prepared for them. The Elak, the junior one, the Elak is the senior one. Chulak is the junior one. The Elak leaves all worldly possessions except a loin cloth and water can. Okay, so just like a monk, they leave all the worldly possession except a loin cloth and water can, while the Chulak still have more attachment. Take it further up, have more attachment, retains a piece of cloth for covering his body partially, gets himself shaved by the barber, and keeps some sort of utensil for taking meals. The monk experiences the bliss of his soul at least within 48 minutes. So in every 48 minutes, the monk experiences himself once. If he is not able to experience himself within 48 minutes, the monk loses his 6th and 7th stage of spiritual development. Okay. Similarly, 5th stage householder, okay, there is a rule for them also. They must experience themselves every 15 days maximum. This is the maximum time. So if they are not able to experience themselves within 15 days, then they lose their 5th stage. Okay. And for the 4th stage, they should experience themselves once in a 6 months. Okay. So maximum time they can live without experience is 6 months. And if they don't experience themselves after 6 months also, then they lose their fourth stage of spiritual development. Okay, and they come back to the delusion stage. So these are the limitations of ordinary householder, woes holders householder, and the monk. 6 months, 15 days, and every 48 minutes. So the monk experiences the bliss of his soul at least within every 48 minutes, which is the emblem of his spiritual development. Here, emblem means symbol of what? Symbol of that he is a Bhavling. He is a Bhavling Muniraj. Okay, he is a true Muniraj with 3 quadruplet of passions. He has destroyed the 3 levels of quadruplet. So this kind of this type of Muniraj, they also observe the 28 rules of conduct and the physical activities associated with it are the conventional observance of the monkhood. So this was about a monk. Likewise, the householder of the 5th grade has concurrent detachment and spiritual experience. Concurrent means simultaneous. Simultaneous detachment and spiritual experience, though not so often as in the case of a monk. So monk experiences themselves with every 48 minutes, but this householder Shravak, or the householder of the 5th stage, okay, he experiences himself once every 15 days. Though not so often as in the case of a monk, and that is the real following of the Pratima. So the purity that is there is the real Pratima, while softness of passion as prescribed in the spiritual text for such a holder is the conventional 5th Pratima. It is not exactly 5th Pratima, it is the 11th Pratima, okay? So is the conventional 5th Pratima not? It is 11th Pratima. 5th is the spiritual stage of development. Pancham Gunasthan Varti Shravak. Being associated with real growth of the soul, these physical activities are also called conventional Pratima or the Vyavhar Pratima. Why? Because the activity of the mind, body, and speech has a nimitic sambandh with the auspicious sentiments. Okay, so these two are both conventional pratimas. Persons having the external acceptance of the condition of these pratimas only will call for bondage due to wrong faith. Okay, so externally he has accepted all these pratimas, but internally he has not overcome delusion. So the delusion is still there, so he is binding all types of karmas. Along with the softness of passion that is there, he will invite married bondage, auspicious bondage, by which he becomes entitled to heavenly lives, but cannot end the worldly existence. So, with the softness of passion and the auspicious bondage that he gets, the result is that he takes birth in heavenly lives, and but he cannot end the worldly existence. He is still in the sansar, worldly existence. This development of the 11 pratimas is according to the rule of the retention of purity of the first in the next stage. So when he comes to the 11th, all the 10 pratimas that he was observing previously, that still carries on. Okay. It is not that the 11th has come, so all the 10 has been pushed back. It is not that. He follows the 10 pratimas also, and also the 11th one, which is in presently. The purity in the higher stage increases invariably without discarding that achieved in the previous stage. So all these are carry forward the previous stage one's pratima, and then he moves on to the next pratima. So when he moves on to the next pratima, the previous ones are not discarded. They are still there, and he is still following the conduct over there. So now there are three types of this 11th stage holder pratima. The first one is holders of the first to the sixth pratimas are the lowest, Jaganya, lowest householder. Those in the 7th, 8th, and 9th stage are the medium stage householder, while the holders of the 10th and 11th pratimas are the best holders of these Utkrusht Vrati Shravak. So Jaganya Shravak, Madhyam Vrati Shravak, and Utkrusht Vrati Shravak. So there are three kinds of householder of this 5th stage of spiritual development. So this was all about this chapter. I think now I want to ask one question, whether first the pratima comes, or first he gets rid of the second quadruplet of passions. Which one precedes the other one? Which one comes first?
First, he gets rid of the
First, he gets rid of.
second quadruplet.
What is the question, sir? Can you repeat?
First, he gets rid of the second quadruplet of passions, and then the pratimas come.
Okay.
So I feel first the pratimas and then the quadruplets.
Yeah, so Jinalji has said the correct answer. First, the pratimas come, although the stage of fifth stage may not be there, but the pratimas come, and when that householder sits for meditation, and in the meditation only the pratimas, the purity according to the pratima is achieved, and that's how it moves. Even for monks also, first monk who is in the 5th stage, he gets he was in the 5th stage as a householder, or just like Ellak or Chulak, and from there he gets initiated into monkhood, but he's still in the 5th stage of spiritual development. And when he becomes a monk, and when he sits in meditation, at that time he attains the 7th stage of spiritual development. And again, when he comes back to the 6th stage, and the 6th stage, he has this feeling of writing books. He has this feeling of giving sermons to other Shravaks, and he also goes for meals also in the 6th stage. All these activities happen in the 6th stage. Seventh stage is purely for meditation. Okay. So seventh and above, all the stages are of meditative state. Here, there is no activity of mind, body, and speech. So they are all focused.
Only Nirjara karmas, Nirjara happens.
Yeah, someone Nijara is happening, and that is the seventh stage and above. So always remember that even now, if we take our example, okay. So I'll just give an example. Somebody may not be doing that, but I'm just giving an example. So when a person gets interest here, then he thinks of renouncing something. Now, example, now he thinks that I will not go to a non-veg restaurant where he might be consuming vegetarian food, but the restaurant is mixed one, non-veg and veg. So previously he was going there, but now with this knowledge and the purity, not the purity, but the auspicious sentiments that he has developed, he feels that he should not go. Okay. And then subsequently, he feels that I should not go to restaurant at all, because in these restaurants, there is not non-veg, but still there will be kanda, batata, and lasan and all these things. So the bowls are same, the preparation utensils are also same. So now he stops going there also. Now he goes only to a Jain eatery, okay? And then subsequently he stops that also, because now he is using only filtered water according to the Jainism. So he knows that the hotel people does not filter water just as we do, okay? They might use AquaGuard and some other kind of bag, white clothing bag they might use, but not a proper channa. So then he stops going there also. So as his sentiments gets better and better, he develops that feeling of renunciating those. So the first part is he gets a feeling, okay? And then subsequently the activities follows. So with everyone, this is the case. So this was all about the 11 pratimas, and these are must before you get initiated into monkhood. Although it is not compulsory, because people like Bharat Chakravarti, they directly become a monk from a householder. Okay, so that also can be possible, but generally speaking, these are the stages that a enlightened soul pass on through before becoming a monk. So there is already different kinds of practices that he undergoes. It's a proper training to become a monk. And in the 12 vows also, the last 4 vows are again, it's a training for becoming a monk. Shiksha Vrat, okay? So there are 5 Anuvrats, then we have 3 Gunuvrat, and then we have 4 Shiksha Vrat. So those 4 Shiksha Vrat is a training to become a monk. And these 11 pratimas are also similar to that, and particularly the
You can
10th and 11th stage of,
improvise your speech and drama thing also. Both.
yeah. So this was all about the 11 pratimas. Do you have any questions? Then we can take that. Otherwise, we'll move on to the next chapter. Anybody having any type of questions?
Sir, request please give 5 minutes break because the topic is very intense actually. So just absorbing the topic actually.
Oh, so what you can do is you don't do anything right now. After the class, or maybe tomorrow or day after tomorrow, you again go through this chapter. And then again, you will be connecting to these concepts. And then you can have time to think also. And then if you have any questions, you can ask in the next class, or you can personally message me. So I'll just reply you by voice message only. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
So now we'll move on to what is happiness. This is also a very important chapter. This is basically an essay written by Dr. Parilji. So there are a lot of arguments given to define happiness, and then ruling out all those false arguments, and then the right eternal bliss, or the right real happiness, is explained, where it comes from and how we can experience it, and what is the important criteria to achieve that. All these are in the conclusions, but first there are different ways by which people define happiness, giving different kinds of logics. Okay, so the first one is not the second paragraph, is the first one. This is about sensual pleasures. So first we read 1, 2, and 3 paragraphs, and then we will move on to the next 3. Okay, so 3 paragraphs at a time. And Jin Priya ji, you read.
Sure. What is happiness? It is an agreed fact that all the creatures want happiness and are afraid of pain and grief. What is real happiness? What real called happiness? The desire for happiness has no meaning without understanding the real nature of happiness. Generally, ordinary beings consider sensual pleasures as happiness, and their attempts are also directed towards this. According to them, search for happiness. The question, what is happiness, does not arise in their hearts, because in their hearts, they treat life full of sensory joys as a happy life. Whenever we think of happiness, it is considered desirable to lead a life of attachments, work hard, grow more food, develop science. The country will prosper by all these, and all will be. And it is said that a day will come when everyone will have food to eat, clothes to put on, and modern residence with all the scientific facilities. Then all will be happy. We do not want to discuss whether such
only 3 paragraphs. Only 3 paragraphs. Okay.
So, okay. Sorry, sir.
Move slowly. So your voice was breaking in between. So I think you have a internet problem. You can check out.
Sorry.
Yeah, no problem. But it was quite hearable. So as such, no problem. So the essay begins with the quest for happiness, what really is happiness they want to know. And the desire for happiness has no meaning without understanding the real nature of happiness. So I may want happiness, but I have to understand, okay, what is the real nature of happiness? So the first assumption was made that these sensual pleasures are a source of happiness, and all the attempts were directed towards achieving this goal. They believe that the search for happiness means search for pleasures of the senses. The question that what is happiness does not arise in their hearts because they believe that this sensory pleasures is the real happiness. Then there were a set of other people who thought that if we get roti, kapda or makan, food to eat, then clothes to put on according to variations of seasons, and modern residence with all scientific facilities, then we will be happy. So this was the second set of people. They think it this way. Now, we are taking this example of food, clothes, and residence forward, and the writer asks, even if people are getting all these things, are they happy? Okay, so that is what the argument has been put forward here. And then they give other logics also in the next paragraph, and they give their logic that happiness lies in imagination. But that is also not correct way of analyzing happiness. So then we move on to the next discussion. But let's finish first 3 paragraphs. From here, we do not want to discuss.
So I have a question actually.
Yeah.
May I ask?
Yeah.
Sir, actually, sir, if we do meditation also, like if we remain absorbed in ourselves, if we do meditation about positive thoughts and all these things, so then that is also a type of sensory joy only, no? So because you feel good after meditation, you feel good.
Yeah, that is a type of sensory pleasure, but if you are doing a true meditation, then you may experience eternal bliss. Okay, so we never know who is doing what, so we should think of ourselves only, whether we are getting that eternal bliss or not. So the basic difference is in the test. Okay, there is no
So is meditation so is meditation good or bad? Is it bad or good?
So meditation is a part of our activity or religious activity, and a right kind of meditation would be when you study the scriptures and first get an idea of how the soul functions. Okay, once you get this knowledge of the soul, then it is worth meditating. So first you should identify yourself, and once you identify yourself, then meditation works wonder. But even if you are not an enlightened soul, you can still practice meditation, and most of the people do meditation by just reading through books or by thinking of what they have studied in the scriptures. So it's a good practice. At least the passions get softened, and you developed a power of passions, and also you developed a power of, thinking differently. So you are in a better position to handle life's adversities. Meditation helps in all these kind of activities. So it is good to meditate, but I would suggest first you do the identification of your own, so then you become an enlightened soul. So there are two things only. First you experience yourself, and then you concentrate on yourself. Just two things, and the whole path of liberation comes under this. So first you have to identify yourself, experience yourself, and then concentrate, focus, meditate on yourself. Okay. So
Okay, sir.
these two are very important activities. So meditation is a must, but before identifying it, it is not of much help. Okay. So first our energy, time, everything we should put in to come at a correct decision of what is soul like, how it functions, what is its true nature. So these are some of the questions that has to be answered first before moving on to meditation. And even if we don't do it purposely, but we still do meditation in our day-to-day life also. I will give you an example. Although the meditation will be of a different kind, a person was going to a temple every day. Okay. He was a young boy of, say, 23, 24 years old. And there was a girl, he was also coming at the same time in the temple. She must be around 20. So both had no relation. They didn't knew each other. But one day somehow they were engaged. Okay. So now throughout the day, whether the boy is doing a business or a job, even without sitting also, he meditates on his fiancée. Okay. And similar is the case with that lady also. Okay. So we do meditate in our day-to-day life also, but and that shows that meditation happens automatically. Okay. Previously both were going to the temple, maybe they must have come across also, but they were not knowing. But once they were engaged, now it is very difficult for somebody to remove their focus. Okay. It goes on internally. He keeps on thinking about the fiancé, and that fiancé also thinks about that boy. So it is very natural, and this is how the meditation goes. So we always insist on first you identify yourself. Once you identify yourself, the meditation will automatically follow. Okay.
So can I just add on to this?
Yeah.
So it's meditation is a scientific process wherein a dopamine is released.
Release
So
hormone.
yeah. So that hormone is a happy hormone, which gives you the feeling of bliss.
Okay.
So that is the while you meditate on your
I
soul
want to
also.
ask you whether that is a sensual pleasure or it is an eternal bliss.
It's not how it in all different stages it is different. See, if you dopamine is released while dancing also, when you are singing also.
Right. So these are all sensory pleasures.
Yeah.
The experience that you have by going through all this is a sensual pleasure. It
Yeah.
is not the eternal bliss that we are seeking here. It is not a permanent kind of bliss, So those are with anxiety. But it is very difficult to realize that anxiety is also there. But once you experience the eternal bliss, then you realize that those were sensual pleasures and those were with anxiety. So then you can make out a difference. Until you don't experience the true bliss, how can you say that this is not the true bliss? So by and large, people believe that indulging in sensory pleasures is the happiness. Okay, but that is not the true happiness. These are all of very temporary type, these sensory pleasures, there are limitations of these sensory pleasures in the great scripture Pravachan Sarji. There is this Gatha number 76, and there this definition is given of how the sensory pleasures are like. इंद्रियों से प्राप्त सुख पराधीन. First of all, the sensory pleasures are paradin. Paradin means dependent. It is dependent on the objects of those sensory pleasures. The second is it comes with badha. Badha means there may be hindrances coming in between. Okay. Then the third one is vichinna. It is not a continuous process. There are breakups in between. Okay, just because it's a sensory pleasures. Then fourth one is it causes bondage. These sensory pleasures. Okay, it is not it's not a reason for samvar and nirjara. And the last one is Visham hai. Visham hai means it is difficult. Okay. It is opposite in nature. So this kind of pleasure is not actually pleasure, but it is a grief, misery. Okay. So this is the limitation of a sensory pleasures, and what you were talking right now was about sensory pleasures.
So, can I ask further? So, how much meditation is meditation is good and how much is bad? Because I've seen that
I'm just asking that question. Before you meditate, you should identify the object, no? So we never insist on meditation just because unless and until you study the scriptures, you understand the nature of yourself, and then you experience yourself. Until and unless you are experiencing yourself, meditation is not helping you. Okay. So we don't have shibis of meditations, right? Like in Vipassana, you have a shibir of meditation. So similarly, we don't have. We are purely focusing on the study of scriptures. And this study of scriptures will give you power. It will upgrade your knowledge. And once you are understanding the true nature of yourself and the other substance in this universe, the nature of the 7 fundamental elements, then you can practice discriminative knowledge. And once you practice discriminative knowledge, the self-realization happens, you experience yourself. And once that experience is done, then you become an enlightened soul. Now you are actually enjoying eternal bliss. Okay. So that bliss is going on continuously, even if you are indulging in other sensory activities. Okay. The amount of the amount according to the destruction of the first quadruplet of passions.
48 minutes, 3 times in a day.
That is the meditation, but I'm not talking about that. The just when you are experiencing yourself, the first quadruplet of passions goes off, okay, along with the delusion. So just because that passion has gone off, so there is a purity that has been developed, okay, and that purity goes on increasing gradually. So that purity is the eternal bliss. With that purity is the eternal bliss, and that is something that goes on and on and on, even when you are indulging in sensory objects, sensory pleasure. So that eternal bliss keeps on going to that level. Now, when you reach the fifth stage, that eternal bliss, the quantity has increased. Okay, the purity has increased, and consequently, the attachments also come down. So this purity goes on increasing, and the attachment goes on down, and there comes a time when you manifest complete purity, and you destroy complete attachments. So that is the stage, 12th stage of spiritual development. Okay, so any other questions?
So when they like meditate so much in a day, like whole day you're meditating, then you feel
So
that much hungry.
instead of meditating, you can always read the scriptures. Because when you read the scriptures, your thoughts also move that way. And once you start developing this thought process, then even if you are not reading the scriptures, you still, those thoughts goes on. And if you have a query in your mind, you keep on searching the answer. And for that, you may refer reference books also. So all this makes good use of your time, and actually it is going to benefit you in the realization of yourself. Okay. And in meditation, if you are meditating, then you're just closing your eyes and thinking on some lines. So that is not going to help much, but reading the scriptures is going to help you very much. And not only reading, the contemplation is more important. Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay.
So we insist on studying scriptures more than meditation, because as I said, the meditation will automatically happen. You stop that boy and you ask him that you don't think of that of your fiancé, but he cannot stop it, right? This is something, meditation comes very naturally. Okay. But of course, after the experience of the soul, the meditation plays a great role in advancing the spiritual stages of development. And all the enlightened souls, they do long for meditation. And but before that, it is not that useful compared to the Swadhyay. Okay. So even if you want to meditate, you can meditate, but not very much. 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes is enough. Okay. But you spend more time in studying the scriptures, and that will give you the real strength, and the delusion gets reduced gradually, and there comes a time when the delusion goes off and you experience yourself. So Buddhi Purvak, what you can do is that you study the scriptures, then contemplate on it, and then you arrive at a decision about those concepts.
Okay, sir.
That is going to help you very much. So this you should do. I have seen many people who are into meditation in a big way, but they are into that, say, maybe for 20, 30 years now. And spiritually, they have not progressed. And it is only when you don't have a rise of the karmas. When there is a rise of the karmas, they are not able to manage themselves, and they react and overreact. So it is like that. So our true trust comes only when there is an adversity in your life, when something going against your wishes, and you are reacting to those things. And if you have understood the concepts, then that reaction does not come. So that is why we insist on understanding the concepts. Meditation will follow, and as I said, there comes a stage. If the stage of meditation is going to come, then you will always have a feeling that let me sit and meditate. It automatically comes. So in either case, you should not worry for meditation. Instead of, you should concentrate on spiritual studies, scriptures. There are a lot of principles given, different types of principles. Like there is a principle of Krambat Paryay that we are going to study in the next sem. Then there is a principle of Nimit Upadan that we are going to study in this sem only. Then there is Nischay Vyavhar that we already studied through that chart, 8 Nais. So those are very important. So these are all going to help you in practicing descriptive knowledge. So first acquire the knowledge, and then the meditation will come automatically. And anyways, when we go to the temple and when we are just sitting in front of the Pratimaji, then what kind of motivation we get by looking at the face of the Pratima? Those gods are concentrating on thyself. Okay, they are knowing the whole universe, and still they are concentrating on themselves. And we know very little, but still our thoughts go here and there, and we are not able to concentrate on ourselves. So for me, the meditation time is the time that I go to the temple. Otherwise, I'm studying always, and I do like to meditate in front of the God, just following them. So different people have different types of choices. So I don't say no, but this is going to benefit you more. And when you have a proper grip of this, meditation will also happen.
ज्ञान से फिर स्वभाव में आ जाता है.
So basically, from time immortal, our active consciousness has been engaging in external activities. Okay, so to get that active consciousness from there to our soul, okay, that is the main effort that we have to do. And for that, the continuous studies and all that helps in a big way. So a time will come when that active consciousness will come towards your soul, and once it comes there, then it becomes abethed with that soul, and this is the stage of anubhuti or the self-realization. So it is very important to realize yourself, to start this path of liberation. And before that, of course, the studies are there, and with every passing day, the delusion is getting removed, or I would say it is getting, the effect is lightening, okay? And then a time will come when the delusion will go away. At that point of time, Samyak Darshan will happen. So the happening of the Samyak Darshan is also not in our hand, but only the understanding the fundamentals and arriving at a decision, okay? That is the main efforts that we can put in right now, okay? Understand the scriptures, find out what is He, Gnei and Upade, okay? What is worth renouncing, what is worth adopting, what is worth taking shelter, what are only Gneis. So these are the conclusions that we arrive at after reading the scriptures. So anyways, now our time is over, so we will continue with this fourth paragraph of this chapter. The next week, okay? Till then, you can just go through this essay, and you can add on to your logics if you have got any logic, and you can share in the class, okay? So this is a very structured essay. So after giving few examples, they have come to the real conclusion. But still, if you feel like adding anything, then you can share in the class, and then we also will be analyzing that whether those are correct or not. Okay, so I'm planning to give Gandhar Mulyankan from the first chapter, that is the Simandar Pujan. Okay, so there are a lot of explanation are given, different things by which we do actually a puja. So I can give water to somebody, a sandalwood to somebody. So they have to explain the whole verse, and then what is the real indication of this, that also that they can share. And then there is Jaimala also. Okay. So we are, I think now 14 or 15 students. So everyone will be covered through this, and that we will be doing in the class. So each one will hear the explanation also, and that is how we will completing that chapter. If there is anything to be added to that, whatever you have said, I will just add on, but otherwise yours will be the final. So there is nothing much more in that, but I'm planning to do this way. Otherwise, I will also think on giving something from here also, the other chapters also. But anyway, we are going to do Gandhar Mulyankan this month only from this Tattvagyan Pathmala, part 1. Let me decide on what will be good for you. And next week, I'll, of course, if it is the first chapter, then I will tell you on the next week only. And if it is something else, then let us go through that chapters, come to that chapters, and then I will share the topics. But one thing is certain, that we are going to do Gandhar Mulyankan from this Tattvagyan part 1. And then during the Das Lakshan Dharma, I'll be asking you the 3 questions, that is Viva, and LCPI will be coming from the management in the month of November. Okay, so that's a long way to go. Before that, we will be completing CC1 and CC2. Okay, and then we will move on to Tattva Gyan Part 2, which is our 3rd paper. Okay, this Tattva Gyan 1 is our 2nd paper, and the 1st paper is Das Lakshan Dharma. But since now the objectives are in the month of January, so even if we don't follow the sequence, it doesn't matter, because we are not giving any exams right now. Earlier, what used to happen that for each paper, we used to have one question answer type of exam instead of the concept clarity that we have right now. So the main problem was a teacher who is taking, say, many batches. He has to check all these papers, and that was taking time, and that was delaying our result. So then Swanuji Subhutiji thought of this process. So now there is not going to be any evaluation. You are going to get full marks if you are submitting the concept clarity. We cannot cut any marks if you are submitting in the stipulated date. So this time I have not cut marks of any of the students just because this was the 1st semester, but now this I will be cutting the marks, like if you are not submitting in the dates, stipulated dates. So there will be, I'll be cutting marks on that. I'll be cutting marks if you're not writing Mythbuster. And then, of course, I will be evaluating the Gandhar Mulyankan and the Viva. So these are the exams that where we can give marks according to the merit that we feel. So now,
when will we be doing Nimit Upadan and
so we have one chapter of Nimit Upadan in Tattva Gyan Part 2.
okay.
So after we complete that Part 2 Tattva Gyan, we will be doing Nimit Upadan. So that will be the last topic that we'll be covering, and we will be quite ahead in the syllabus just because we are taking 10 days classes in Das Lakshan Dharma.
Okay.
So we'll be finishing that paper there.
Sir, you have informed them, right, that we don't have these 2 books in English. So at least by the end of the semester, if they can give Nimit Upadan and Ahimsa in English.
So Nimit Upadan is almost ready, and
Okay.
Ahimsa, now a meeting must be going on, so I'll request them for Ahimsa. Okay. So different teachers are putting request for their own syllabus, but
Right.
at least we are the latest one. So all those hard work that they are doing will always be benefited to us. Otherwise, if anyone of you want to do translation job also, we have a team for that also. And if anyone is interested in translating, they can participate in that also. So Darshit ji is doing some work there. So he has been added there. And so they need translators also, and they need people who can check also. Okay. So after the translation is done, there must be checking also, because those mistakes are always there, some kind or the other. So they need they need people who can check also. And now they are doing mostly on Chat GPT. So again, you have to read that Chat GPT, and some changes has to be done. So they are working on it, but the speed is not that good, because they don't have many volunteers who are very active. There are many volunteers, but some are not good and some are not very active. But with Chat GPT, I hopefully they will have a standardized kind of quality. So if that works out, then it will be very fast. They recently they have done one book and the testing is going on. I think which book it was. They have done something. Pardon? Even if we don't get the Nimit Upadan is being done now, I think. But even if it is not done, then I will explain you in English directly from Hindi.
Okay.
So now I am also getting practiced. I'm also a little bit comfortable more than the first sem. So things are coming gradually, but by the end of this sem, I think hopefully I can do a direct translation from Hindi to English. Okay, so we end here. निज निधि निज में बताई यह अनंत उपकार है के लिए जिन वाणी माँ को वंदना सत बार है उसके लिए जिन वाणी माँ को वंदना